Hello. In this tutorial, I'll be showing you how to work with your MonaV on the Move news slider. And what that is this basically this image slider that you'll find here that we can scroll through and look at different image ads that basically connect to a news post. So if I click on this, this is going to take me to the news post, as you can see here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how to do that and how to link it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on most recent. We just made a news post together in the previous tutorial, which is about this podcast here. So what I'm doing is I'm basically opening that information so that I can quickly link to it. And what I'm doing is I'm creating a new tab in my internet. And I'm going to have basically two tabs open so that I could switch back and forth easily. And if you go here, you'll see that we are basically back at our news slider. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to choose content. I'm going to choose ads. And I'm going to make sure that the ad that I'm going to create is this Media Center featured. The ad is very specific to size, so it's really important that whenever you create ads for the slider that it is the correct size, which is 694 by 400 pixels. If you don't do this, if it's too small, basically by default it's going to repeat, and we're not going to want that. And if it's too big, it won't sit properly onto the media slider. So make sure that you have the correct size. So I'm going to choose Create Ad. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and give this a name. So this was regarding podcasts. And I'm going to click Enabled, which means that the slide is going to show up right away. And I'm going to choose a background image. This is the best way to get this HTML image into your content. So I'm going to choose File. And this is the image that I'm going to use. I'm going to say Open. And right away I want to say Upload. So to upload this, we must have it as a background image, but we also must include it into our HTML content. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on this image and I'm going to view it, and what this does is that shows me what the new URL is. So I'm going to click on that URL and I'm going to copy it. I'm going to close this window and I'm going to come back here down to HTML content, and that's basically where the image is going to be viewed. So I want to go over to this image button. I'm going to choose image, and it's asking me the image URL or location of that image. So I'm going to paste in that URL that I just copied. What I'm also going to do is right here at link, it's going to ask me where do I want this to link to, and I want it to link to that news post that I just created. So I'm going to click over here on this other internet tab, and here's my post, and here's the URL for that news post. So I'm going to click in there and I'm going to copy that URL. I'm going to go back over to the other tab, and in the URL I'm going to paste in that location. I'm going to choose OK. And so what you'll see here in the preview is there is my image, and it now has a link. If you want to double check it, you can double click on that image and it's showing you what the link info is. So that looks correct. Now below the ad content is a little bit tricky. So what we do is we have some HTML for you to place in it. So what I do is I just keep this text on file, and what I do is I copy this and I go back to the page and I click on source. Source means I'm going to be pasting in the HTML code. It's very important that you have it in the source portion of this entry. And from there I'm going to paste. And if I click back on source, you'll notice that I have basically a title bar here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to highlight this title bar, and I'm going to choose to rename this to be podcast. Oops, I skipped a step. So what we want to do that's better is while this is highlighted, you'll notice that you have a tab here that's called Paste as Plain Text. What that means is it's going to replace my highlighted text with whatever text that I would prefer it to be. So I can either click there and change the text, or I can go into the source and actually find the text here and change it. So it's kind of important that you know a little bit of HTML when you're working with this. So we're going to call this podcasts. If I could type. There we go. And then go back to source. So basically there's my title, and this title can be longer than this. It will go into 2 lines, but I also want to make sure that I get that URL attached to this podcast here. So what I'm going to do is, just to make sure that I have the correct URL, I went back over to this tab and I copied the URL, and I'm going to paste it here. And in order to paste, I'm just going to double click on that title there, and I'm going to delete the old information and paste in the new information. I'm going to say OK. So there's a lot of switcheroos going on here, so it might be a little bit confusing, but the best advice I can give you when doing this is to just go double check your work and make sure everything's working correctly. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit save. And what that should do is it should automatically go directly to the slider bar. So if I go to the new section, here is the ad that I just created. And I'm going to click on that right now just to test to see that it goes to the correct article. And it does. Now I'm going to go back and I want to test the title that I created. Right here is the title that I created. And I want to click on that and make sure that it also goes to the same link. Now it's a little redundant, but we know that our viewers kind of go to these links or understand how links work in different ways. So it's good to have both of those working in that manner. So that's kind of nice. The other thing we kind of want to talk to you guys about on the new section is to limit the amount of media sliders that you have. Currently there's quite a few up here, and you can have quite a few, but it won't make a whole lot of point if we have too many. So we recommend that you keep your sliders to 3. You can do more if you like. Keep in mind we'll probably be posting from the corporate office some important media as well. Now let's say that you want the ad you just created to show up first and always show up first. The way to do that is to go into configuration and to scroll down to order. I'm going to click on order, and what this does is this allows me to choose the order of that slider menu. So from here I'm going to choose Media Center Featured Ads. I'm going to choose Select. Takes just a minute, and I'm going to go find the podcast that I just created, and it's already sitting at number 1. But let's say I want something else to be sitting at number 1, so the black tie event. I'm going to click on that and drag up, and I'm going to let go until it's at the number 1 position. And this allows me to reorder when you're going to see those ads. I'm going to choose Save. So if I go back to my news section, I'm not sure if that's saved. Let's try it one more time. Okay, so if I go back to my news section, the black tie event should now be the number 1 slider, just like it is here. So feel free to contact us if you have any additional questions about how to work this section.